welcome to AER Int channel, and welcome back to sheet metal course. In this video, we are going to look at the bend manufacturing option in a bit more detail, because there's quite a few more options than the formed option. So we should be at this stage with our model. We should have a lofted bend, something like this. If you've got the formed one, we can just delete that, and then re-add the lofted bend feature. Select those profiles, and then just select the bend option. First up, let's have a look at the feature in the graphics area. We can see on the curve here, we've got a lot of small straight sections that approximate that curve. And if we press flatten, and we can see we've got a series of bent lines. So this would maybe be a bit easier to manufacture than the form method that would probably need some specialist tooling. As we saw briefly in the previous video, the bend option that got a few sub options, and we're gonna look at those quite briefly now. So I'm gonna fold the bar up again. Then I'm going to edit the lofted bend feature. Now we have 4 different faceting options here, and essentially these options exactly control how these straight sections or facets are created. They should all give us roughly the same output, but it depends on our exact profile and what we are trying to make. These lofted bends can be a bit temperamental. They don't always give us the output that we want. Let's go through these from top to bottom. Chord tolerance is the first one. This version sets a maximum difference between the curved arc and the straight section of the bend loft. So if you look at the little drawing on the icon, we can see a picture of it here. So around here, there's an ideal curved arc. And here is a straight line, which is the actual line that we've got in our bend. So by putting half a millimeter down here, we're saying that that straight section has got to be half a millimeter or less from the ideal arc. So we can see if we increase that dimension, then we can see the straight section get a bit larger as they move further away from the arc. So a smaller dimension here will give us a more refined bend that follows the arc more closely. This refers to endpoint option, just basically allow Solidworks to round off any sharp corners. So if we get any bend relief cuts automatically added to our loft that we don't want, we can try toggling this option and seeing if it improves it. The next option is number of bends. This is fairly straightforward, just allows us to set the number of bends per segment. Obviously, more bends will give us a smoother look to the curve, but this will also take more work in real life to physically bend all of those sections. So at the moment we only have 2 bends. We can see as I increase this value, we get more bends and it looks smoother. But in real life it will take longer to actually make all of these bends, so there's a bit of a trade-off there. We can also click on these pink circles and change the faceting option just for that segment. So we could have a different option for each of the sections if we wanted to. The third option is called segment length, and this lets you define the maximum length of these straight sections. So a smaller number here, it will mean that our corners look more curved. So as I increase this distance, these straight sections are getting longer, so we're getting a less refined curve around the edge there. Then finally we've got a segment angle. This sets the maximum angle between 2 adjacent segments. So the lower we make this number, the tighter the curve will be. So we see as we reduce this number, the curve gets more rounded. If we put this up to say 40 degrees, it looks much more square around there. So really there's quite a few sub options there, and it's up to us which one we want to use. So that's an overview of lofted bends. As I mentioned, this tool can be a bit temperamental, so try playing around with different types of bends if we can't get what we want exactly straight away. This can be a quite useful tool, though if we know exactly what we're trying to achieve. So to recap lofted bends, they were generally in quite a similar way to normal lofts, but we need 2 profiles. They both need to be opened, and they can't have sharp corners. Then we can select each of the profiles, and it's a good idea to try and select the same point on the profiles. Then we've got 2 main options, bent or formed. Formed generally looks much smoother, can work better, but it doesn't include the bent lines, so often needs specialist tooling and can be hard to make. The lofted bends method gives more of an approximation of the curve. It can be easier to actually make it, depending on what kind of process and machinery we have access to. There's many different sub-options within the lofted bends, and we can also apply these to each individual segment of the loft. So that's lofted bends. In the next video, we'll look at the last new sheet metal tool, which is the tap and slot tool. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like, I hope it can be a little helpful and useful.